It seems that with Donald Trump's picks, he's making really calculated picks, pro-Israel, pro-war with Iran. He's picking like Rubio and a couple other guys that make sense for foreign policy. And then and Huckabee, being someone who's like extremely Zionist and pro-Israel, like literally Zionist to the true definition of the word, fundamentalist, believes that Jewish people need to control all of the Holy Land. So you have those people for foreign policy. And then for domestic policy, Trump is making his own cast of a reality TV show with Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard and whoever else he's going to assign to positions. I heard Lauren Boebert might be up for Department of Education, the department they want to get rid of. But yeah, Matt Gaetz in particular is really weird and really bad, especially considering the very credible evidence that he has very weird relations with minors in general. And Matt Gaetz went on Tucker Carlson and said, oh, these allegations are not true. But we had members of the Republican Party come out.
This is a guy that the media didn't give a time of day to after he was accused of sleeping with an underage girl. And there's a reason why no one in the conference came and defended him, because we had all seen the videos he was showing on the House floor that all of us had walked away of the girls that he had slept with. He'd brag about how he would crush ED medicine and chase it with an energy drink so he could go all night. This is obviously before he got married. All of a sudden he found fame because he opposed the Speaker of the House back in November, and he's always stayed there. And he was never going to leave until he got this last moment of fame by going after a motion to vacate.
It's important to know Congressman Gaetz has never been charged with any sex trafficking crime, and he gave this statement to CNN in response. I don't think Markwayne Mullin and I have said 20 words to each other on the House floor. This is a lie from...
Do you know what's crazy? People say CNN is biased and liberal, but Fox News running this story does not include any disclaimer. Right now, many Republicans believe that Kamala paid Oprah, paid Eminem, paid Obama millions and millions of dollars because that story spread on X. And you have CNN here providing a disclaimer right after this short. When someone's giving a testimony on what they hear Matt Gaetz talk about. He's a creepy guy. He's a creepy looking guy. He's a creepy acting guy. There's ongoing investigations. McCarthy has backed up those investigations. And those ongoing investigations are going to be cut down now because now he's going to be Attorney General possibly. But I did see a Legal Eagle video pop up here that I think would be good to go over to reveal, or not to reveal, but to review what the legal case was 3 years ago against Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz explained.
So, Matt Gaetz.
Legal Eagle is so disappointed. This is 3 years ago, and if you watch every video about Trump leading up to now, he's getting more and more radicalized. He seems so disappointed, so sad. Everything's falling apart, and he can't do anything about it. He's talking about Trump's crimes, everyone's crimes, and no one's going to get held accountable. I think Legal Eagle is going to go insane.
Sponsored by Ting Mobile. Hey, Legal Eagles, it's time to think like a very busy criminal defense lawyer, because what is going on with the Matt Gaetz scandal? And I'm afraid we're going to have to be more specific than that, because it appears that there is a scandal inside of a scandal inside of a scandal. It's like one of those Russian nesting dolls, but it's all Florida men all the way down. But the question is, did any of Matt Gaetz's alleged relationships break the law? Are the wild stories about Matt Gaetz and his father just a pack of lies dreamed up by two men who were trying to blackmail the Gaetz family? Or
Matt Gaetz is also one of those really creepy guys that does really weird things with his body. So he gets a lot of Botox and work done on his face, and everyone saw this already. But when Matt Gaetz came out at the RNC looking like this, that was kind of crazy, kind of wild. And this is the obvious swelling from getting injections. You see the raised eyebrows, you see the cheeks, the forehead, scary stuff. Straight out of Whoville.
or does it hold some truth? So let's go through the timeline of allegations against Congressman Gaetz and see if any of these allegations might give rise to illegal conduct. And let me stress that at this point, these allegations are all unproven. He denies everything, and there are conflicting accounts. But one thing is certain, that if you thought that weird political scandals were going to end with the Trump administration, you haven't been paying attention to Florida, man.
Man, we're just getting started. This is 3 years ago. We're just getting started with weird things and allegations, and a lot of illegal stuff that's going to go under the table. Imagine how many crimes we're just not going to hear about now because Trump's in office. And crimes we do know about, they're going to be erased from the history books. It's insane, bro.
So let's start at the beginning. In late March, political news sites reported that Gaetz was thinking about not running for re-election and becoming a talking head on the news organization Newsmax. Some reported that he was even thinking about ending his term early so that he could join the private sector. But this left a lot of people scratching their heads about why a young congressman would consider news.
Why would he leave? Maybe credible allegations? By the way, the entire Republican Party, this is how authoritarianism happens. Okay, this is how authoritarianism happens. This is what lawmakers are saying in the Republican Party about Donald Trump.
There's no question he's the leader of our party. So now he's got a mission statement, his mission, and his goals and objectives, whatever that is, we need to embrace it. All of it. Every single word. If Donald Trump says jump 3 feet high and scratch your head, we all jump 3 feet high and scratch our heads.
Imagine anyone telling you to blindly follow the president. Anyone telling you to blindly follow Joe Biden, or follow anyone for that matter. Not even pretending like they are thinking at all. They're saying Trump is the leader, Trump is the king. You must follow everything he says. You are not allowed to ask any questions or you're not in our party. That is how cults happen. That's how authoritarianism happens. That's how we get rid of checks and balances. That is scary. Like, it's genuinely scary. And I know it's a bunch of memes, but this is getting really bad, bro.
Sector.
And yeah, make sure you drop a like on the stream, hit subscribe. Thank you for joining tonight on this lovely Wednesday afternoon.
But this left a lot of people scratching their heads about why a young congressman would consider Newsmax a promotion. Well, as we would soon learn, the Department of Justice was apparently investigating Gaetz for federal crimes. And here's some free #NotLegal advice. Working for cable TV does not give you any immunity from prosecution. But not long after, the New York Times reported that the DOJ was investigating Gaetz for possibly having had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old and paying her to travel with him. Not surprisingly, several federal statutes make it illegal to induce someone under the age of 18 to travel over state lines to engage in sex in exchange for money or something of value. The main federal law is 8 U.S.C. 1591, which prohibits sex trafficking of children by force, fraud, or coercion. And for purposes of this law, a minor is someone under the age of 18 years old.
Remember, Matt Gaetz is also 42 years old right now. So this is someone half his age. Half of his age. After hearing about Trump being friends with Epstein, after everyone talking about Diddy party accusations, Donald Trump is really nominating, dare I say, the white Diddy to be Attorney General.
This statute also makes it a federal offense to knowingly recruit, entice, harbor, transport, provide, obtain, or maintain a minor knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that the victim is a minor and would be caused to engage in a commercial sex act. And that is defined exactly the way you would think it was. Now, Section 1591 does not require proof that either the defendant or victim crossed state lines or international lines. The prosecution also doesn't need to prove that the defendant used force, threats of force, fraud, or coercion. But if the victim was between 14 and 17 years old, the penalty is a minimum sentence of 10 years in prison up to life. Now, Gaetz has denied the charges and told the New York Times, quote, "I have a suspicion that someone is trying to recategorize my generosity to ex-girlfriends as something more untoward," which sort of raises the question, how do you mischaracterize generosity toward someone who is not a minor in this context? But that is a question for another time. And here there are reports that the alleged 17-year-old victim was also involved in a felony sex trafficking count against Joel Greenberg. Greenberg is a former Seminole County, Florida tax collector who's been charged with 33 counts from 4 indictments, including sex trafficking with a minor, whom Gaetz was allegedly involved with. Now, Greenberg is also one of Gaetz's Florida pals. Here they are goofing around with.
They're all best friends. I think someone said in chat earlier that Gaetz's wingman, and this is probably him, is in jail, right? Is that who you were talking about?
With known upstanding citizen Roger Stone, and here they are at the White House. Now, Greenberg became the youngest tax collector in the county's history and allegedly has spent over $1 million on guns, body armor, and his own cryptocurrency scheme and a drone while in office. And in 2017, Greenberg pulled over a woman he thought was speeding to scold her while he wore his tax collector's badge.
Bro, that's wild. The tax collector pulls up to stop someone who's speeding. They all have these fantasies of having a power, having authority, having a power over other people in general. And come on, bro. Stop calling Trump Daddy Trump. You're leaning too far into the cultism. It's so weird, bro. Stop calling him Daddy Trump. Daddy's home. It's so weird.
Resembled a sheriff's badge. And for some reason, he even had flashing police lights on the top of his SUV. Now, amazingly, the Florida state attorney wrote in a letter that Greenberg was, quote, being given the benefit of the doubt that his intentions were pure, therefore he did not commit the crime of impersonating a police officer. And look, I've been to Florida, so that does seem to check out, but that probably wouldn't fly in any other context in any other state. But in 2018, Gaetz publicly endorsed Greenberg's bid for re-election, saying that one day Greenberg would make a fine member of Congress. We'll pause to let that one sink in. But Greenberg was...
Also, remember, Matt Gaetz is perfect to pick for anything because they have dirt on him. So Trump wants loyalists. If they have dirt on people, they will put them in positions. They know Matt Gaetz cannot mess up, or Matt Gaetz cannot mess up because they have so many things on him. If he does go out of line and disobeys Trump, they can release any file they want. So Matt Gaetz will do literally, he'll be a little puppy dog following every command from Elon Musk. Oh, I mean Donald Trump. It's hard to remember who the real president is. Drop a like on the stream. Only 6 likes. Drop a like.
Was then charged with stalking and harassing a teacher who was running against him in the Republican primary. Greenberg had apparently set up fake online profiles to defame the teacher and sent several letters to the school where he worked saying that the man engaged in inappropriate conduct with his students. In July of 2019, Gaetz and Greenberg left obnoxious voicemails on the cell phone of Florida State Representative Anna Eskamani, a Democrat, saying,
"This is your favorite tax collector. I'm up in the Panhandle with your favorite U.S. Congressman, Mr. Gaetz. Hi, Anna."
Then, in August of 2020, Greenberg was indicted on 14 more counts, including sex trafficking charges related to a minor between the ages of 14 and 17. Now, unfortunately, the details of Greenberg's alleged trafficking scheme are also essential to understanding why Gaetz is in hot water. First,
this guy says Democrats are no saints either. See, Republicans will do something so objectively bad that your only argument is, well, Democrats aren't perfect either. You can't just admit that Republicans are doing something bad or that Trump is best friends with Epstein. You just cannot admit those things. Democrats, you know, I remember when Democrats, not only is Matt Gaetz not qualified at all for this position, but I remember when Democrats put someone who has a very, very strong case against him for sex trafficking minors, who's a guy who's over the age of 40. I remember when Democrats put a person like that in charge. I'm definitely sure you can name an example, right? Where Democrats did something similar. You could probably tell me exactly when Democrats did a similar thing. Tell me tell me a good comparison.
Federal prosecutors allege that Greenberg used his position as tax...
Are Democrats flawless, question mark? No. Can you say that this is bad? Can you say that Matt Gaetz is obviously a creep, flying out girls who are half his age to come out, talking about how he loves young girls all the time? Can you at least say that's weird? Are you in a cult, or can you say that's weird? Without bringing up Democrats. Don't bring up Democrats. Just say it's weird. Own it. Just say, yeah, that's pretty bad. I don't like that Donald Trump did that. And you can also say you don't like how Donald Trump talked about sexually assaulting women too. You can have some humility about anything. But of course, we all know what people really care about. You don't care that Matt Gaetz did anything. You don't care what Matt Gaetz did. You don't care about qualifications. You don't care about the job. This is what you care about with Matt Gaetz. This is what you care about.
Is it safe to say that based off of your comments, you're suggesting that these women at these abortion rallies are ugly and overweight?
Yes.
What do you say to people?
See, you are electing objectively bad people because you want them to talk like this about libs. You want to own the libs. And the only people who can make their entire personality lying and owning the libs are bad people. So they all have scandals like this, but you're okay with it because if he owns the, he can own the liberals for you. Elon Musk can own the libs. You can give the entire government to him. Why not own the libs? Because you voted off emotion if you voted Donald Trump.
collector to access the Florida driver and vehicle information database, where he would research women and girls. Some of the individuals Greenberg researched were involved in sugar daddy relationships with Greenberg. And Greenberg allegedly abused his position and took surrendered driver's licenses before they were shredded by his office staff and created new IDs with his photograph but with the personal information of his residence. And not surprisingly, during a search, police found fake IDs in Greenberg's office and materials used to create those IDs as well. Greenberg, of course.
Bro, y'all are pathetic. Y'all are pathetic. Trump didn't say he did it. He said it's a problem with celebrity culture. Trump was pointing out a problem that celebrities can do it. He was actually being a feminist when he talked about being able to walk into their changing rooms when they were naked and changing. He was being a feminist. He was calling out that apparent issue with women's safety. And when he said you can grab them right by the, you know what, he was putting a warning out to the public. You're right. You're right. You're pathetic. You're going to say, oh, you hear about, like, you know, people do bad things and tell other people they did bad things? Give an example. Give any example that's close to Matt Gaetz from the Democrats being appointed to Attorney General, okay? You can't. Matt Gaetz is the least qualified candidate for Attorney General in American history, whether you like it or not. Whether you like him or not. And if you like him, you're probably a little bit of a little creepy.
Denies all of these allegations, which takes us back to Congressman.
Or you're just a partisan hack who doesn't care about this country. You care more about owning libs than you care about anything in the world. You're a partisan hack. You can't think about anything else other than owning liberals. That's all you talk about. That's all you care about. It's a sad way to do politics. Drop a like on the stream. Hit subscribe. Thank you.
Gaetz. Gaetz allegedly visited the Seminole County tax collector's office at least twice after hours, according to text messages reviewed by the Orlando Sentinel and the Daily Beast. And on April 16, 2018, Greenberg visited the Lake Mary, Florida branch of his tax collection agency. Surveillance footage captured Greenberg standing near a desk with another man, but Greenberg forgot to set the alarm on the way out, which concerned the assistant branch manager when she went to work on Monday morning. That employee found driver's licenses scattered all over the desk instead of in the appropriate disposal basket. She reviewed the camera footage and alerted her boss, who sent Greenberg a text message saying, quote, "Did you happen to visit the Lake Mary office on the weekend?" The Daily Beast reports that Greenberg responded, "Yes, I was showing Congressman Gaetz what our operation looked like. Did I leave something on?" And according to the Daily Beast, text messages show that Greenberg was helping Gaetz get some duplicate IDs. They report that on September 2nd, 2018, Greenberg directly asked an employee to quickly create a new card that complies with the heightened security standards of Real ID, a process that would normally require providing additional documentation, according to the images. The Daily Beast goes on to report that Greenberg texted one of his
Donovan, don't worry about it. Donovan said Trump should hire Liz Cheney. That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. Because Donald Trump hired Dick Cheney's advisors. After trashing Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney for being war hawks, he gets Marco Rubio, he gets Huckabee, he gets all of these war hawks. He gets, like I said, the Cheney advisors. Trump just didn't choose Pompeo and someone like Liz Cheney because he knows those names are unpopular. But his cabinet is full of people who are more war hawkish than them.
Employees, quote, "Amy, is there any way to assist one of our congressmen in getting an emergency replacement ID or DL by Tuesday, 2 p.m.? He was lost yesterday and he's got a flight Tuesday. Doesn't have any other form of ID currently on him. Sorry to bother you on a Sunday." Greenberg then confirmed that the favor was for, quote, "Matthew Lewis Gaetz Jr., born May 7th, 1982. If you didn't know, Gaetz represents Northwest Florida, while Greenberg was tax collector in Seminole County, which is 472 miles away from Gaetz's district. So,
also, you guys get your news from really bad sources, so you don't know that Donald Trump got $800 million to his campaign from 10 billionaires alone. 10 of the richest people in the world supported Trump's campaign. Trump got 80% of billionaire donations in total. You're talking about the reported finances from the Trump and Kamala campaign. You're not talking about the actual full super PACs, dark money, and everything that went into the campaign finance. Trump had more money. It just wasn't reported as under the Trump campaign. But you're going to see on Twitter, I bet you also believe that Kamala paid Obama millions of dollars to campaign. You probably also believe that Kamala paid Eminem millions of dollars to campaign. You probably also believe that Kamala made direct payments to every person who endorsed her, which is another thing that was shared on Twitter that's completely false. But you don't care about what's false. You care about what fits your narrative. And you're going to agree with anything you see on Twitter because it agrees with you. You're searching for something to justify your bias. You're not searching for something to actually inform you or change your opinion or make you a better, more informed citizen or voter. You don't care about that. Again, you care about owning the libs. You want to own all the libs. You treat it like it's NFL Sunday. You don't have real concerns. If you do have real concerns, call out Matt Gaetz. Call out Trump's hawkish foreign policy advisors. Call out that Trump picked Dick Cheney's advisors to be leading his foreign policy. If you have any principle, or if you have any values, if you care about anything to do with America, be willing to call your own side out. I call liberals and Democrats out all the time. I'm just not going to do it when you're all here because you're making the worst points in the world, so I got to respond to you. Make sure you drop a like and hit subscribe on the stream. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. We have 1,000 strong in here. Thanks for hanging out.
Why did Gaetz need the tax collector from outside his district to create IDs for him? These are, of course, red flags, so when the Secret Service was apparently investigating Greenberg for identity theft, they discovered the link to Gaetz. And shortly before the story about Gaetz broke, Greenberg was indicted yet again, this time for allegedly submitting false claims to receive pandemic relief aid from the government and trying to bribe a government official. Yes, Greenberg allegedly did all of this after his other legal troubles. And reports say that the independent Gaetz investigation was launched under the Trump administration and that Attorney General Bill Barr was briefed on the matter and actively tried to avoid meeting Gaetz in person because of potential improprieties given the ongoing investigation. And there is yet more evidence that the Gaetz...
Good example, Barrett. This is the final Christmas before Trump is going to come and do tariffs and ruin the economy. Make sure you buy your kids something nice. No one's making arguments. You're talking about soy, okay? You're talking about soy. You're using Twitter posts. I'm always in here calm, talking about policies, and you guys come in talking like second graders. If anyone has any real policies or real discussions, feel free to hop in the Discord. We can have a discussion like two adults and talk about what really matters in this country. Thank you very much.
Gaetz Greenberg investigation involves other Florida officials. A woman told investigators that she had had sex with Greenberg, Gaetz, and another guy involved in Florida GOP politics. Several sources told reporters from FloridaPolitics.com that the third man is former Florida Department of Business and Professional Relations Secretary Hazley Bashirs, who resigned in January. The woman allegedly was a minor at the time of the sexual encounter, and several reporters say that she has already testified in front of a grand jury about having had sex with Matt Gaetz. And according to another unnamed Florida Republican who claims to be influential in state politics, Greenberg texted him on August 14th and started fuming about the investigation. The source claims that Greenberg was paying the legal fees for the woman who allegedly slept with Gaetz and Greenberg. Quote, Greenberg initially referred to the young woman as Vintage 99, referring to the year she was born, 1999. Pro tip, putting inculpatory evidence in digital form, especially when you're talking about the birth date of a minor, really not the best way to conduct criminal activity. According to reports, Greenberg wrote, I'm having to pay for Vintage 99 to retain a lawyer. They, the federal agents, contacted her and are wanting her to talk. She doesn't want to talk to them. Now, paying for someone's legal fees is not necessarily illegal, but it does raise a whole host of questions.
The FBI, the thing about the FBI extorting the family is not true. It's another conspiracy theory because they spread any story. And again, you want Matt Gaetz to be okay. You want to support Matt Gaetz and MAGA, so you believed it. You ignored all of the real testimony. You ignored all of the real findings. You just ignored everything Legal Eagle just said because you don't care. You're going to just shut your ears off and be blind to everything that disagrees with you. And then you open your eyes suddenly when there's a conspiracy theory that fits your narrative. You're not being a serious person. Be serious, please.
The woman in question is now allegedly 20, but was allegedly 17 at the time of the encounter. And the friend said that Greenberg and Gaetz shared girlfriends and paid their bills. And after the investigation started, Greenberg apparently reached out to his friends, stating, I'm trying to let everyone know who came into contact with any of these girls that the feds are going through my Venmo history and don't want anyone to be caught off guard. To which one of Greenberg's friends responded promptly by saying that he wasn't on Venmo and had no such history with any of these women. And, quote, absolutely positively leave my name the out of any of this. I'm serious about this, Joel. And meanwhile, the third man in the White House photo op with Greenberg and Gaetz has been identified. His name is Chris Dorworth, a former member of the Florida legislature who is close with Gaetz. Dorworth quit his job with a lobbying firm late last week, and his presence has now been scrubbed from the firm's website. Dorworth and Gaetz allegedly plotted to run a sham third-party candidate during a state Senate race to help out Jason Brodeur, another friend of Gaetz. The two men said they probably didn't discuss running a sham candidate, and Dorworth added, there would be nothing illegal about it if we had. Greenberg may also have some dirt on other Florida politicians as well. He allegedly used taxpayer money to pay for other Florida politicians and WWE wrestler Matt Morgan, known as Blueprint, for, quote, consulting services. Auditors have yet to find the documentation for what these payments were actually for. Morgan happened to owe about $40,000 in federal taxes, and the consulting payments happened to be for about $40,000. Florida voters later elected Blueprint to the Longwood City Commission because...
All right, so this guy right here just called me a white dude for Harris looking ass. Okay, this guy right here just called me that. All right, let's do some deep evaluation. You're trying to look really cute with this selfie in the mirror. You got a good curtain behind you, maybe a towel in the bathroom. So I think you would also qualify for a white dude for Harris. So I think that's a really good picture of you. But thank you for commenting that. I really appreciate it.
Because, of course they did. This is Florida, after all. And back to Greenberg, sources told the New York Times that Greenberg would find women on sugar daddy websites, forums that would connect people who would go on dates in exchange for gifts, fine dining, travel, and allowances, and presumably have sex with them. He would then allegedly introduce these women to Gaetz, who would also have sex with him. And the reports say that the men would meet women to form mutually beneficial relationships between the two parties. But this probably goes without saying, but in America, you cannot pay for sex without breaking the law. So let's talk about the crime of solicitation. The New York Times originally reported that Greenberg and Gaetz had paid women for sex using Cash App and Apple Pay, stating, quote, "The Times has reviewed receipts from Cash App, a mobile payments app, and Apple Pay that show payments from Mr. Gaetz and Mr. Greenberg to one of the women and a payment from Mr. Greenberg to a second woman. The woman told their friends the payments were for sex with the two men, according to two people familiar with the conversations. In encounters during 2019 and 2020, Mr. Gaetz and Mr. Greenberg instructed the women to meet at certain times and places, often at hotels around Florida, and would tell them the amount of money they were willing to pay according to the messages and interviews. And additionally, the Daily Beast reports that they obtained records that the two men also used Venmo to pay the women for sex. Again, allegedly. Two of the transactions are from May of 2018 when Gaetz sent Greenberg $900. The first transaction from Gaetz says test. The second paid Greenberg $900 with a memo reading hit up blank using a nickname for one of the girls. 6 hours later, Greenberg paid 3 young women $900. In the memo line for the payments, Greenberg wrote tuition, school, and school. One of the girls had just turned 18 about 6 months before the transaction, so the report does not name her. And according to the Daily Beast, Gaetz's Venmo transactions were once public, but they disappeared this week as the investigation moves forward. Just a reminder, you may want to set all of your Venmo transactions to private, whether you're doing something illegal or not. Hashtag not legal advice. The Daily Beast was also able to confirm that the circles of contact between Gaetz and Greenberg overlap using Venmo records, Instagram, and campaign finance records. Quote, Gaetz and Greenberg share 2 direct Venmo connections with women who receive payments from Greenberg. Greenberg is also accused of misusing taxpayer funds, with at least $300,000 allegedly being used for hotels, travel, meals, consulting, and even cash advances on a county credit card. Which takes us to the possible crime of enticement of a minor. If Greenberg and Gaetz had contact with minors...
See, that's what you people do too. You talk about Biden appointing trans people who are actually qualified for the jobs because you don't like trans people. You do like Matt Gaetz. So even though you have credible instances of Matt Gaetz having sexual relations with a minor and illegally paying to sex traffic them, you don't care because he's a white guy that is for Trump. You like the white guys for Trump. You like the white identitarians. You like the white guys for white politics. But if it's someone from a different social group, you don't care. You'll believe any conspiracy theory you need to believe in order to fit your world narrative and your worldview. And you know it's weak.
Using technology like these sugar daddy websites or text messages or payment apps, if that's true, they could be charged.
We should have that trend. AGP Diddy. Someone put that on Twitter, but Twitter suppresses Democratic accounts. I don't know, but AGP Diddy. That's my guy right there, Matt Gaetz.
Charged with violating 18 U.S.C. 2422, which makes it a crime to use the U.S. mail or certain technologies such as the internet, the telephone, to persuade, induce, entice, or coerce a minor to engage in prostitution or any other illegal sexual activity. And it's possible that these alleged acts might give rise to a violation of the Mann Act as well. But there's also the international travel aspect of this. Federal investigators are also looking into a Bahamas trip that Gaetz allegedly took in late 2018 or early 2019 with a marijuana entrepreneur. The marijuana guy allegedly paid for the travel accommodations and female escorts. But even if the other guy was responsible, that wouldn't necessarily get Gaetz off the hook, because AT&T 18 U.S.C. 2423 makes it a felony to, quote, knowingly transport an individual who has not attained the age of 18 years in interstate or foreign commerce with the intent that the individual engage in prostitution or any sexual activity for which a person can be charged with a criminal offense.
No, it's not good, Harbor. It's not good that there's 800 people watching, because these are 800 people who are in support of a predator in Matt Gaetz. They're supporting predators like Matt Gaetz and Donald Trump and Elon Musk because they are on their side politically, and they don't like liberals.
Quote, in some cases, Mr. Gaetz asks women to help find others who might be interested in having sex with him and his friends, according to two people familiar with those conversations. Should anyone inquire about their relationships, one person said, Mr. Gaetz told the women to say that he had paid for hotel rooms and dinners as part of their dates. And CNN spoke to two women who claimed to have attended several parties.
Bro, imagine if a Democrat did this, bro. Imagine if a Democrat had this story with him and underage people buying hotel rooms, asking them to get their friends. Imagine if, like, I don't know. I don't even know who to bring up, bro. If any Democrat did anything half as bad as this, like half as bad, we would not hear the end of it, bro.
At these parties. One receipt had a label indicating the payment was for travel. And one of the women told CNN that Greenberg sent her money after some of these parties. She confirmed that some of the money was payment for sex, but she did not disclose who she slept with. The woman said that she did not receive money directly from Gaetz. And Greenberg allegedly bragged about partying with Gaetz. A source close to Greenberg alleges that he often, quote, sent identically worded messages to multiple women inviting them to parties through these so-called sugar daddy dating websites. If this is true, prosecutors would need evidence proving that there was some coercion because, generally speaking, it's not illegal to pay for hotels.
Buddy, do you realize Anthony Weiner was sentenced to prison? Anthony Weiner was held accountable. Someone brought up Anthony Weiner as an example for Democrats. Imagine if Anthony Weiner was never held accountable, we knew everything about him, and then Joe Biden appointed Anthony Weiner to Attorney General, especially when Anthony Weiner or Matt Gaetz is not qualified at all for that position. The point is, not being held accountable at all. If this happens with Democrats, they get kicked out. They don't get appointed to being one of the most powerful legal positions in the entire country. That's the difference. Now Matt Gaetz, all of his scandals are wiped out completely. And that's probably why they appointed Matt Gaetz, because they know Matt Gaetz can't say anything. Matt Gaetz can't say no. Matt Gaetz can't have any opinions different from Trump, because if Matt Gaetz goes against Donald Trump, then they will bring back these cases. They probably have info on Gaetz that he does not want to see the public. You bring up these examples, and they just don't work.